Happy Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Iron Bowl week here on Morning JOX. You only get to say that once a year. And it is, by all accounts, many of our favorite weeks of the year. Certainly one of the bigger weeks of the year for us here across the state of Alabama. And we appreciate you tuning in to us here this morning, and we hope you will do so each and every day this week, except for Thursday, because it'll be Thanksgiving, and we won't be here, just like many of you will be out celebrating with friends and family. But we will be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and, of course, on Friday, the day before the Iron Bowl. So when you're out and about doing all your Black Friday shopping, maybe early on Friday morning, you can listen in, and me and Damien will be delivering you our picks for Rivalry Week and the Iron Bowl. So it's going to be a fantastic week here on the show. Damien, glad to have you back. I know you're a little under the weather, so but nothing a little Iron Bowl week can't fix, right?
Exactly, man. You wake up with a whole new energy when it's Iron Bowl week, man. Especially you on Friday. The jersey the jersey that you're gonna wear is gonna be a little bit different from from the normal.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but yeah, I know there's a lot of people who, if you're unaware, because all of you were so wonderful last week and helped us donate thousands of dollars to families in need. Part of the kind of donation challenge that we did on Three Man Front. I will be wearing a Cam Newton jersey on Friday, and Molly is going to be painting me up in orange and blue face paint. So I know a lot of Auburn people will get a lot of satisfaction out of that, and I will never live it down if Auburn wins the football game after I do that.
No, it's all good.
It's but hey, it's all in the name of fun, and it's going to be a fantastic week here on Morning JOX as we get you ready for the Iron Bowl.
I will ask this. I mean, you're an Alabama alum.
Mm-hmm.
Does the week of Iron Bowl? I know it's Thanksgiving usually, well, pretty much all the time. Does the week feel a little bit different, no matter whether it's in Jordan-Hare or in T-Town?
Oh yeah, I mean, just
like the hate is like, does the hate start to fuel up right after the last game before the Iron Bowl?
Yeah, no, you can definitely tell, and I mean, I think last week, right, a lot of people, and having the kind of the games normally the way that they are before the Iron Bowl, where they're typically not the most challenging matchups. It almost gives you kind of 2 weeks of that hate. But yeah, I mean, now like you got a little extra pep in your step this week, and you understand that. There's, again, regardless of which side of it you're on, right? There's a lot to play for, and if you're on one side of it, you literally everything is on the line, and on the other side, you have the chance to ruin everything for your rival. So yeah, it definitely feels a little bit different, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of lively interaction from our listeners this week, and that's exactly what we want and what we're here for. So. We will, of course, be talking about Iron Bowl all week. And before we do that, though, we've got to talk about what got us there from over this past weekend with both Alabama and Auburn. But before we get to the games from the weekend, I did want to just take a moment and send our thoughts and prayers. I'm sure a lot of you saw the story, but a scary sight there on Saturday morning with UAB and an incident that they had there at their football facility. So just wanted to send our thoughts and prayers out to the two players that were injured and had to be hospitalized after the stabbing incident that took place there on Saturday morning. And if you're unfamiliar with the situation, two players were injured. Thankfully, they were reported to be in stable condition. And we now know that according to Jefferson County jail records, the offensive lineman Daniel Mincy for UAB, he was arrested on charges of aggravated assault and attempted murder on Saturday morning. So a scary scene there as UAB got ready to take on USF on Saturday. So just wanted to start off by sending our thoughts and prayers to the players that got injured in that incident. But now we can look at what happened across the state in terms of Alabama and Auburn. And let's start with the Auburn Tigers, Damien. I think there's a little more intrigue with this matchup because we knew going into it that Deuce Knight was going to get his first opportunity to start at quarterback for the Auburn Tigers. So we got to see him a little bit earlier in the year. Man, what game was that? Was that the Alabama or South Alabama game or
Ball State?
Ball State. Thank you. But this was the first time that he'd taken snaps in over 2 months, right? And I think after we saw what the offense looked like against Vanderbilt without Hugh Freeze, it's okay. Well, all right, let's see if Hugh Freeze had yet another weapon that he didn't utilize. And I think a lot of people are now asking, man, did we start our third best quarterback for 75% of the season? And unfortunately, it appears that may be the case. Because Deuce Knight was incredible, man. He had 401 total yards of offense, 6 total touchdowns on the day for Auburn. Didn't turn the ball over, but he goes 15 and 20 for 239 through the air, had 2 touchdowns there. And then he had 162 yards on the ground, 9 carries, and 4 touchdowns. And about 135 of the 130 of the 162 yards came on 2 plays, because he had the 75-yard touchdown, obviously, on the first play of scrimmage, which was impressive, and then he had a 51-yarder later on as well. He had a 90-yard passing touchdown to Malcolm Simmons. It was a day of explosive plays for the Auburn offense, to say the least. But you can't say enough. Look, I get it was Mercer, and I mean, credit to Mercer, right? They were in the lead early, up 14-7, and you thought, okay, maybe they're going to make this interesting, but then Auburn absolutely torched them the rest of the way. But they put up a little bit of a fight, showed a little bit on offense, had over 300 yards on the day there for the Bears. But yeah, I mean, Auburn was just too good, man. And Deuce Knight looks every bit of the player that we had heard he was coming out of high school, and sets up just a very interesting situation now heading into the Iron Bowl. Because I mean, Ashton Daniels is going to start, but you have to imagine that probably some sort of a package you want to throw in there for Deuce, even if it's just him, using his legs, because clearly that's a huge part of his game, and he's a massive weapon there. So going to be interesting to see how they utilize that. I know DJ Durkin said after the game that, well, I don't know, we'll have to watch the film and see if he's the backup. Like,
Yeah.
I know you have to say that as a coach. I don't think
Right.
you really have to go and watch the film. I think it's pretty clear that Jackson is not your best option at this point moving forward, but he did beat Alabama last year, so we'll see if that factors in at all. But yeah, can't say enough about Deuce Knight. He was incredible, and what a fantastic debut for him.
Yeah, and even as a freshman, man, that gives you a different level of confidence. Granted, the competition wasn't necessarily ideal, but you went out there and executed the offense flawlessly, and you got to put your full talent on every inch of display. On the opening run, you're like, okay, yeah, he's nice. He's nice. And when the game starts to slow down for him, because again, going against a Mercer defense is a little bit different than an Oklahoma or an Alabama's of the world. But the confidence and the raw ability that he has, that goes to show that, man, once he really dials into this offense, and when it's his time, you're in great hands. I thought he delivered the ball on time, working with those guys. I mean, he looked
that touchdown he had to Cam Coleman.
Oh, was a dot.
Woo.
That's a grown man throw.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you cannot deny the talent. And I mean, if you're Jackson Auburn, you gotta be able to look and read the room a little bit of, in hindsight, maybe you wouldn't have beat out John Mateer. Who knows? But I think you kind of realize that.
Hey, he got his money. I think he's.
Absolutely. Enjoy the portal again. Like, I just hope you land on your feet and wherever you go, have success. But it ain't gonna be in an Auburn uniform if he expects to truly play. And then defensively, I will say this: Mercer, I'm not gonna say surprised me, because they are one of the better teams in the FCS. I have seen them in the SoCon for a couple years now, and what Coach Jacobs has done for that program, like he's built this thing up. They're going to be competitive once they get into the playoffs. I think they're going to be a tough out. But they made it difficult early on for Auburn. They were hitting them with some punches, and then you saw the separation of the Jimmies and Joes. When you ain't got a Keyron Crawford or a Keldrick Falk on the defensive side, you ain't got a lockdown corner with all those athletes that you have out there. You start to see the separation. I think that was the biggest thing for Auburn is you knocked the cobwebs off, you yawned a little bit, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's Mercer. But then when you dialed in and locked in, you kind of saw that what this team could really be when they put it all together.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you forced 3 turnovers on defense, so that's good to see there if you're Durkin and that defensive coaching staff there. But, yeah, it's impressive when, again, regardless of the level of competition, you win by 45. Mercer actually had 19 first downs. Auburn only had 21, but they won by 45 because a lot of those drives were, as we mentioned, 75-yard touchdown, 91-yard touchdown, 50-yard touchdown. And so that kind of makes it up there. Mercer actually had the football for 37 and a half minutes in this game, and Auburn won by 45. So Great tune-up there for the Tigers. They moved to 5-6 on the season, and now we all know what awaits them on Saturday. But before we get to the Iron Bowl, what about the other half of that matchup? Alabama, they were in action on Saturday, and again, Mercer, quality FCS opponent, very good program there, and that level of play. Put up a decent fight early on against Auburn. No one's going to knock you for, Mercer is respectable. Eastern Illinois, man, I would not be surprised if some of those boys quit playing football. That was a bad football. And we had talked about it last week. I think we had someone on 3-Man Front that said this might be, one of the worst teams to ever play in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and it was rough, man. 34 yards of offense on the day for Eastern Illinois. They converted 1 first down, and it was on the very beginning of the game. Excuse me, they had 2 first downs. They had 1 conversion on 3rd down, and it was the 3rd and 15 at like the very beginning of the game, and that was it. So, a rough day for them, but Alabama defensively, they show up. You get the interception early by Dijon Lee, and so all of that was great. Defensively, knocked it out of the park. Now, the passing game and special teams left a little something to be desired. Ty Simpson, he throws 2 interceptions. He has 1. He just kind of, throws it in the end zone before half, so that one, it is what it is. But he had another one where I don't know if he didn't see the guy across the middle or if he just didn't think that dude could jump very high. And I definitely think it was a little bit of oh, you're Eastern Illinois, you're not going to make this play. And then they made that play, and you had a turnover there by Ty Simpson again. So a little bit sloppy there, unfortunately. But the good news was best day you've had run the football all year long. So 269 yards on the ground, 5.5 yards a carry, 8 rushing touchdowns on the day for Alabama. So pretty spectacular there when you look at all things considered. Jam Miller got a touchdown. A.K. Deere had 2. Kevin Riley had 2. Austin Mack had 1. Richard Young had 1. Haven't heard that name in a while. Daniel Hill had 1. So it was a fun day there in the running back room, and it was cool because you got a lot of guys got to see the field that don't normally. So you did get Keelan Russell and Austin Mack in there, but you got Cade Caruth in there. I know he's a trustful guy that's paid his dues there for a number of years. You got the scout team quarterback in there for a while as well. So really, really cool to see all that for Alabama as they got a big win, 56-0 over Eastern Illinois. But everybody going to be talking about the kicking game and Connor Talty, and got to be able to make your chip shots, man. And again, I think a lot of people just get worried because that's the kind of thing that I think there's been kicking problems in the past in the Iron Bowl, and that's not something that people want to revisit this year if they don't have to. But hey, Kalen DeBoer, if you heard him after the game, we want you to have his back because the people in the locker room have it, and the reality is there's not a better option, right? If there was a better option, you would have seen it. I think there was a very clear message being sent when the backup kicker came out there to kick the extra point, and he made it, but it wasn't pretty. And I think that was a message from the coaching staff of, all right, you want to see what else we got? Here you go.
Yeah.
Okay, now you see why Connor Talty's out there. Don't have to love it, but
Right. He brought it upon himself, though. And that's the thing. Like,
he's not helping the situation.
Exactly.
No.
It's kind of his fault. He's showing up as guys after the mishap against Oklahoma. And then when everything goes right, you still miss it. So what you was doing all that rah-rah about? Like, even when it does go perfect, you miss it. But, for Alabama, defensively, again, Eastern Illinois is not a good football team. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You actually played sloppy offensively and still scored 56 points. That's more of a reflection on the quality of competition that you were going against. But, and Ty Simpson, that interception was more of I don't expect him to make that throw against Missouri. I don't expect him to make that throw against Auburn. Like, it was a tight window, and you underestimated the opponent. Like, you really did. That throw was a prove it to me. And he did. Yep. Like, sometimes you get got. But, as far as the run game, they were able to lean on him. They were able to maul him out the way. And again, for both teams, and no disrespect to Eastern Illinois or Mercer, but this is kind of what we expected to come in on a Monday. Hey, you handled your business. You mopped the floor with them. We know what to expect this week, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, you handled your business, and most importantly, right, you both covered at the end of the day.
And yeah, absolutely.
You both covered. And that means a lot to a lot of people.
It was thick. It was a lot.
It was, especially, I mean,
Auburn had made you sweat there for a second.
yeah, and I mean Alabama too, because
Yeah.
it was 50 and a half, and they took until the very end to get that 56. So, but hey, you handled your business and you set up a pretty epic game this Saturday in the Iron Bowl. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. What all's on the line for both teams coming up on Saturday as Alabama and Auburn will face off in Jordan-Hare Stadium at 6:30 on Saturday night. But we also have to talk about what's going on in the coaching world because some massive coaching news coming out over the weekend. We have some clarity a little bit on Lane Kiffin and some interesting names circulating in the SEC. So we'll tell you everything you need to know about the coaching carousel next here on Morning Jocks. Reaction Monday here on Morning JOX. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you until 7 o'clock. Reacting to everything that happened over another, it was an exciting weekend of college football, but I think we can all agree it was. This weekend is the main course, right? This is kind of like an appetizer. I know a lot of the SEC not playing the most difficult matchups this week. I do think it's funny though, hearing coaches like Dan Lanning and people over the weekend taking shots at the SEC and like, Dan, you just got your first ranked win and it's November 22nd, dog. Like, maybe sit this one out.
Yeah,
the lack of self-awareness that some of these people have, like they're really just talking. But whatever. You got to keep your fan base happy, I guess. That's the way that it works. But an interesting weekend nonetheless, and an interesting weekend on the coaching carousel with a lot of big news spreading there. So let's start off, though, with the big one. That's Lane Kiffin. Of course, we're all excited to see what's going to happen with Lane Kiffin. And the last time we were with you on Friday, we knew that he was going to be meeting with Keith Carter, the athletic director at Ole Miss, later on Friday. And we were expecting, right? All right, so they're either going to come out and announce that Lane Kiffin is moving on and he is going to accept another job, or that he's signed an extension and he's going to be back at Ole Miss. Well, apparently there was another option on the table that we didn't really consider, and that was the option that they took. So I'm going to read you this statement. This was released by Keith Carter and Ole Miss on Friday about Lane Kiffin. Quote, Coach Kiffin and I have had many pointed and positive conversations regarding his future at Ole Miss, including meeting today with Chancellor Boyce. While we discuss the next steps, we know we cannot lose sight of what is most important, our 6th-ranked team that is poised to finish the regular season in historic fashion. Despite the outside noise, Coach Kiffin is focused on preparing our team for the Egg Bowl, and together we want to ensure that our players and coaches can concentrate fully on Friday's game. This team is on the cusp of an unprecedented season, and it's imperative they feel the support of the Ole Miss family in the week ahead. An announcement on Coach Kiffin's future is expected the Saturday following the game, end quote. So we'll find out on Saturday what Lane Kiffin's decision is, I guess. I'll just say this. Don't think he's coming back to Ole Miss because it feels like that would have been the time that you announced.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's Lane, so weird stuff could happen, but
yeah. It's frustrating. As an Ole Miss fan, man, it's like you're holding us hostage. Like, man, we have been so good to you. We've been so kind. We've been so gracious. We've had all the success.
Well, I remember how excited you were when y'all hired him.
Hey, I'm telling you, I was jumping for joy. And now it's like, well, you're just going to forget everything that we had? But, I mean, it's Lane. It's kind of, he likes being the bachelor. He likes all these teams want me all of a sudden, and now you got family taking trips to Baton Rouge, family taking trips to Gainesville. My name's being brought up and everything. He likes the attention. Can't really knock him for it. But yeah, like if you're Keith Carter, it's, hey, big dog, we need to know immediately. Like I will give you to the Egg Bowl, and when that clock hits 0, you either staying with us for the college football playoff ride, or you got to go. Because I don't know if Lane Kiffin, at least if I were in Keith Carter's position right now, knowing that my coach is leaving, I can't. Now, it's something different if he's offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, getting promoted to a head coaching job. Like, yeah, you need to go and get on the recruiting trail. You need to do whatever you need to do. But a sitting head coach, when my team is going into the college football playoff, I can't allow you to be there during that phase. It's too important for it to just be, hey, let's just finish this thing the right way. No, he's already made it known that he's not going to be with you regardless. Like, no, like it's over. Like, there's nothing, you can't just ease the Band-Aid off of a breakup. Like, you got to go, you either all in or you're done. Because once this 1 foot in, 1 foot out stuff happens, like everybody in that locker room was like, hey man, like, hey coach, yeah, we're not mad at you for taking another job, but it's, you could have done this at the end of the season, like when we're done. Like, how can you preach to us commitment and staying locked in when you're the one that's leaving? Like, it's hard for that relationship to just mend itself because you're not even practicing what you're preaching, but you're going to tell us that, hey, we need to lock in and focus for this playoff run when we know what the end result is. No matter if we win a national championship or not, you're gone. So either leave us now and we'll figure it all out, or stay with us and let's ride this thing on out.
Yeah, and that's very similar to what Nick Saban said on game day, right? Was essentially a version of what Damian just shared. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of people, and that's the thing, right? Is he is, I'm not gonna say he's the great. He's one of the two best coaches your program's ever had, right? And the other one, Johnny Vaught, was there over 50 years ago. Like, this is the best you've had it in over 50 years at minimum.
Yeah.
But he's handled this in such a way where even if he did come back, I think a lot of fans at this point would honestly just be, oh, all right, great. So we're going to do this again in 2 years. It's almost gotten to the point where you have to leave because you've ruined the relationship, right? You've been too rough with it. And like you're playing with people's heartstrings a little too much, if you're, in my opinion. I think that's kind of how Lane Kiffin has misplayed this a little bit. So, but hey, Saturday we'll find out. Then, of course, not to wait till Saturday. You hear the reports over the weekend that leak out that LSU is ready to offer him. I saw as high as a $98 million contract and up to $25 million in roster money each and every year, which I thought you could only spend $20.5 million on a roster.
It's different down there in Baton Rouge, brother.
I guess there are different rules for different places. So that's a lot of money. That'd be hard for anybody to turn down, and we'll see if
But I gotta give Lane. I gotta give him so much credit. Like, he has finessed this system. For somebody that's, when you look at his resume, he ain't ever won. He's won a lot of games. But he's never won anything of magnitude. And yet he can mess around here and make almost $100 million. Like, I can't even hate him for it. It's, man, you've worked it. Like, you have found your niche, you found your angle to it, and it's worked in certain ways.
In certain ways. It would be the most Lane Kiffin thing ever for Ole Miss, him to come back. Ole Miss loses the Egg Bowl on Friday, and then on Saturday he announces he's leaving, and that would just be
right. Like, I'll slap you on the way out.
Yeah, that's my.
It's like Lincoln Riley. It's like, man, I ain't finna go nowhere, and then literally, it's as soon as Bedlam was over, it's like, yeah, I'm going on to L.A.
Well, maybe he's going. Yeah, he's going somewhere. I didn't lie. I was going somewhere else, and y'all didn't pick up on it. I don't know. But yeah, that's the big Lane Kiffin news there over the weekend. Quickly, also in the coaching world, Florida State, they doubled down. They announced that Mike Norvell is going to come back for another year in 2026, which is pretty surprising there. They lost 21-11 to NC State on Friday. So again, that loss to Florida State really, really not looking good if you're Alabama, and if you're Florida State, again, it's just really a head scratcher how that was the performance. And again, it's just crazy to think. I mean, they're 8th in the country in offense. They have the 8th best offense in college football statistically, and they are 5-6. But now, over the last 2 years, Florida State 7-16 overall, 3-13 in the ACC, haven't won a road game in 2 years.
Ugh.
And Mike Norvell is going to get an opportunity to come back. They're going to put more money into the program, and
I feel like they're tainting their own product.
It feels like they're doing the Billy Napier thing where you're going to be back in this situation next year, and you're going to have to just go and pull the trigger and rip the Band-Aid off and get it done. But if they were to get rid of him now, it would have owed him. FSU would have had to pay about $54 million in buyout. So, who knows? Maybe next year they're a little bit better, and
who knows?
You would get through to that.
I just think that you're staining the legacy of what Florida State has been by continuing with Mike Norvell. And I just, again, you can just. It's not that he's a bad coach. It's just not working.
Yeah.
It's not working. And what can you – okay, yeah, you got more wins than you did last year, but you're still banking on you have to beat Florida to make a bowl game. Like, I've never thought of Florida State getting to that point. And I've never seen a fall from grace so quickly. Like, it's one thing to kind of, see it kind of deteriorate year by year a little bit slower, but this was, we got screwed out of a college football playoff, and then boom. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been certainly been a rough last couple of years there for FSU, and I'm with you. I think they should go ahead and make a change, but apparently they're not. They're going to give it one more year or so, they say, as of right now. And then also, while we're talking about Mike Norvell, There were a lot of rumors coming out in the last couple of days as well that Gus Malzahn, who is largely responsible for that offense being so good this year, that he might have interviewed for the Arkansas job. So quickly, let's hear from Gus. This is after the game on Friday. This was him being asked if he will be, at his future at Florida State. What does that look like?
Is your intent to return here next season? Have you talked to Coach Norvell?
Yeah, my intent is to help us get bowl eligible and win this game, and that's exactly what my focus is.
Doesn't sound like he's set on coming back for another year. I'll just say that.
Like that deflection right there.
It's about to say. It seems like if I have another opportunity, I think you
gone.
might be seeing me somewhere else. So, yeah, interesting times there for Florida State amidst the coaching news. But Cal, they fired their head coach, Justin Wilcox, yesterday. The Raiders, they fired Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator. Maybe that's a name that you hear coming back to college. Maybe.
Yeah, he should never.
Maybe.
He should never go back to the NFL.
It's
just
gonna
not,
be.
It's not for him.
It's about to say it.
It ain't working for him there.
Just a little something extra to throw in there with what's already been a pretty crazy coaching carousel cycle. So that's everything you need to know on that front from over the weekend. But it's Iron Bowl week. I know it's only Monday. We have a lot of time to go between now and the game, but want to get to some of your thoughts. Some of you already chiming in with your excitement for the weekend. And let's look at what's on the line this weekend. So we know for Auburn, you want to go to a bowl game, but for Alabama, everything is on the line. So what is the path to an SEC title and to a college football playoff? We'll break it all down for you. What's on the line for Alabama this weekend in the Iron Bowl? It's a lot. That's all coming up next here on JOX.
This is tremendous.
6:35 here on your Monday morning. Conrad and Damian here with you as we kick off Iron Bowl week. I guess it's also known as Thanksgiving week, but Iron Bowl week, as we will refer to it here on the show. And it's going to be a fun next few days as we get you set for all the action going down in Jordan-Hare Saturday night at 6:30. So we're going to get into some scenarios here. What's on the line, namely for Alabama this week, and a little bit on the line for Auburn as well. But we know a lot of things contingent on this game for Alabama and, maybe the, head coaching future there for Kalen DeBoer, amongst other things. So we'll get into all that here in just a second. But Don has been on hold. I know he's very excited for Iron Bowl week. So let's go to Don. I know you've been waiting patiently. Why don't you kick off Iron Bowl for us, Don? How you doing?
How good, guys? How are you guys? And happy Iron Bowl week to you, Conrad. Cannot wait to see you wear that Auburn gear on Friday.
I know there's a lot of people that are looking forward to that. So just tell us right now on Monday, what's your confidence level for this game? Do you have an early score prediction? Where's your heart right now? 5 days away from the game.
Well, you know me, this is my favorite. You said my favorite week of the year, and I do think Auburn's got a chance. I'm going to wait for my prediction and everything. But I got a question for both of you guys. Do you think, with the way Deuce Knight played on Saturday, do you think that he'll have a couple of series in the game Saturday?
I would think there would be some sort of a package. I don't know if you're going to see an entire series for him, but I would think they would at least try to utilize his legs in some way.
Treat him like Red Zone Robbie.
Well, you know what, Damian, I would not mind that. And actually, about Red Zone Robbie, he hasn't had a bad year for Wake Forest. Done pretty good.
I was about to say, they've had a nice little year there at Wake.
Still at Auburn.
Well, Damian, I actually got a question for you with it being with Egg Bowl week. If you were a player for Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, what would you be thinking about right now? Would you be wanting not to play for him right now with all this going on?
I just wanted to be real with me. That's all. Just hey, coach, if I'm a superstar player, if I'm Trinidad Chambliss, we go into our quarterbacks meeting with him, I say, hey, coach, like, be real with me. Where's your heart at? And if he can be honest and say, hey, I'm thinking about going such and such, be like, hey, get through this week, I'll holler at you because we're going to the playoffs. Like this squad that we have in this locker room, we're going to the playoffs. You got to go build up a program. Like, you got to go. Like, there's no in between.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, it's just, nothing personal. It's just, hey, it's business now. Mm-hmm. We all grown. I'm making a few millions. You making a few millions. Got to do what we got to do.
Absolutely. And also, too, Conrad, I'd like to invite everybody up tomorrow to our Tuesday gather at Social Taco and make this a little Iron Bowl roundtable discussion with everybody. And Conrad, if you come, can we have an Iron Bowl debate?
I don't know, Don. We'll see. We'll have to talk with the powers that be about that one. But thanks for calling in this morning. I know you're excited for Iron Bowl.
What's their debate?
I don't know. We kind of already did this. Like,
right.
I don't think we need to do it again. But
they fire their coach, and all of a sudden everybody's got confidence. Man, I'm telling you, it's different.
It's a big week. I know a lot of people are excited. And a reason that a lot of people are excited is because if you're an Alabama fan, you know you have a lot to play for and a lot that is still in front of you. And if you're Auburn, you have a chance to spoil that for your biggest rival. So let's get into kind of the details, the nitty-gritty of what's on the line this weekend momentarily. So as we mentioned, Auburn, they're 5-6. You win this game, you're going to a bowl game. I know that doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but again, all things considered, if you could end this year 7-6, which would be, that is still a possibility. All things considered, not the end of the world, right? I think you'd feel a little bit better, and really just the program moving forward, right? I think that's a lot of what this game is going to be about, is instilling confidence for the future and whoever the next head coach is there for the Auburn Tigers. But for Alabama, you have a lot on the line. So thankfully, if you're an Alabama fan, Kentucky lost to Vanderbilt. A couple other things happened over the weekend. It's clear now. If you are Alabama and you beat Auburn on Saturday, you are going to Atlanta. You are playing in the SEC championship game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you are Texas A&M and you win against Texas this weekend, you're also going to Atlanta. So again, Alabama and Texas A&M, if they both win, they're in. If you're Georgia or Ole Miss, you need a little bit of help for some things to happen to get there. But Alabama, essentially, you beat Auburn, you're going to play Texas A&M, and if Texas A&M loses to Texas, then you're going to play Georgia in a rematch in Atlanta. So that's the path for Alabama. It's pretty clear. Now, as far as the college football playoff goes, this is what these are the numbers from ESPN. These are the numbers we have available to us right now. If Alabama wins the Iron Bowl and makes it to Atlanta, but loses the SEC championship game, so they would have a 10-3 record with a third loss coming in the conference title game, they have a 59% chance of making the college football playoff according to ESPN. Obviously, if you win that game, we're having a completely different discussion, and you're probably getting a first round bye, or worst case scenario, you're hosting a first round playoff game, but you're probably going to sneak into the 4 spot because you jump over Texas A&M and Georgia, I would think, if you win the SEC. But I know the interesting scenario a lot of people worried about is, well, how could you win or make it to the SEC title game and lose and get kicked out? Didn't SMU lose and get kept in last year? And they did, and I think that's why I would say there's a solid chance that you can still make it in. Now, you don't want to get blown out. If you get blown out in the SEC championship game, that's not going to help. But so the other things that you would need to be concerned about, right? If Texas Tech doesn't win the Big 12, you need Texas Tech to win the Big 12 because otherwise that might open up a spot for 2 Big 12 teams to get in, and then that would knock you out. I think, Miami's going to be one of those teams that's kind of in the mix there potentially to steal a spot. You don't want Michigan to beat Ohio State because that's going to be a huge win for them, and that would potentially catapult them up and give them – what the heck is that? Okay, it's a ladybug. Sorry. Yeah, so those are, some of the scenarios that you just need to keep an eye on if you are an Alabama fan. But the reality of it is all you got to do is win, and you're going to be good. Now, the Iron Bowl, it's going to be difficult. Alabama's a 5.5-point favorite as it stands right now. Again, make no doubt about it. You remember the last couple times this game was in Jordan-Hare. It wasn't easy on the Gravedigger. It wasn't easy when Bryce Young and, you went to 4 overtimes, and it hasn't been easy. But here's the one stat that we'll go with on this Iron Bowl Monday. This is the stat I'll leave you with. 29 times in the history of this game, Damian, a ranked Alabama team has played an unranked Auburn team in the Iron Bowl. Do you want to know what Alabama's record is in those 29 matchups?
I'm going to say 27-2.
Very close. 28-1. Dennis Franchione lost as a ranked Alabama team to an unranked Auburn in the early 2000s. That is the only time in the history of this rivalry that a ranked Alabama team has lost to an unranked Auburn team.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I'm telling you there's a chance because it's happened before. But it doesn't happen very often. So maybe that makes you feel a little better if you're an Alabama fan. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I just thought that was a good stat to throw out there on this Monday. But a lot of you chiming in on the Iron Bowl on the courtesy GMC text line, your thoughts on that, as well as everything else that happened over the weekend. The college football conversation rolls along here on a Reaction Monday. You're listening to JOX. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here as we kick off Iron Bowl week. Conrad and Damien here with you until 7 o'clock when we'll hand you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning, and they will continue the college football conversation. And we're about to get to your text on the Courtesy GMC text line. 205-834-9450 is how you can get in on the conversation if you have any questions, comments, complaints, any of that sort. We'd love to hear from you on the Courtesy GMC text line. But first, tonight you do have a couple of options in terms of sports entertainment. So, of course, we have Monday Night Football going on as the 49ers will take on the Panthers there. So, with the Bucs loss last night, the Panthers had an opportunity to be in first place in the NFC South. As hard as that is to believe, a lot on the line for Bryce Young and the Panthers tonight. And for the 49ers, just trying to keep things rolling there in the NFC West. And I know some people are about to roll their eyes. You do have two college basketball games tonight because Alabama's going to play Gonzaga and Auburn's playing Oregon in the Players Era Festival there it's the NIL tournament there in Las Vegas. So Alabama Gonzaga, that's tipping tonight at 8:30 on TNT. Auburn and Oregon is on True TV. That's tonight at 7. So you can kind of watch those games back to back. But I know some of you are, heaven forbid, we watch.
Yeah, it's football season, Conrad. You heard them last week.
I apologize.
Doesn't even matter if they're on their own teams. Nope, no basketball. It's football season.
Pretty good games tonight if
absolutely.
you're interested in that kind of thing. But let's get to your thoughts now on the Courtesy GMC text line. And I like this text that just rolled in. It says, watched some NFL yesterday. Myles Garrett is the best player I've ever seen. He causes havoc on every play.
Hey, you watched the Browns and Raiders?
I was like, man, if that's I hate that was your exposure to that. But, hey, shout out to Shadur. He got a win in his first start, and Myles Garrett, I think, had 3 sacks and 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a beast, no doubt about it.
Defensive player of the year.
I just like that. It just random. Watched NFL yesterday. Myles Garrett, best player I've ever seen. All right. I like the assessment there. Let's see. This one says, good morning, guys. Jake here, Roll Tide. Hope y'all have a very blessed Thanksgiving. Thank you, Jake. We hope you have the same
Hotty toddy
as well. Nick chimes in from Birmingham. He says, I think for Auburn to win the Iron Bowl, they're going to have to make Bama one-dimensional. Overall, the Bama run game is not great, but their pass game is. Auburn's secondary is suspect. Having said that, I have Auburn winning 27-24.
Ooh.
Okay. Let's see. Casey says, I feel like everyone's doubting Alabama and talking about how they should be worried about Auburn is some good rat poison.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Someone said, thank you for the quick basketball update. You're welcome.
No problem.
You're welcome. Let's see. This guy, we're all over the board this morning. He says, okay, so is that jerky or something you're making this morning? Okay, well, we're talking Iron Bowl. He says, what hurts about Connor Talty is that he's from Chicago. I guess this guy's from Chicago. He also says, no doubt that Lane Kiffin is staying at Ole Miss. He's taking everyone for a ride.
Hey, I
just
appreciate
kind of all over the place this morning, but I appreciate all the
I hope he does stay.
All the text. 205 Sooner says, one more win, ugly or not, and we're in the playoffs. No doubt about it. That was a heck of a defensive performance on Saturday.
It was physical.
Made the big plays when you needed to on offense. But, yeah, shout out to Oklahoma. Missouri just they were dominating that game for most of the first half, but they, never broke on defense and held them to the field goals. And, the offense finally came through for Oklahoma. So, yeah, one big win away against LSU coming up this weekend. Let's see. This one says, Kalen DeBoer is really good at losing to ranked teams, ... Fair?
Yeah.
Fair. Let's see. Jason says, turkey or ham for y'all?
Both of them.
I prefer ham, personally.
Both of them.
I prefer ham, but I still like turkey. Let's see. Bama Hater. He says, if the committee truly honors their criteria, how is Miami behind Notre Dame and Alabama with the head-to-head and like opponent metric? Look, I have come to Miami's defense for the last couple of weeks. I think Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame. I don't think they should be ahead of Alabama, but I don't think Notre Dame should be ahead of Alabama either. And then he asked, should a playoff spot be awarded to Alabama if their third loss is in the SEC championship game?
Yeah, they handle it.
Yeah, you're the second best team in the best conference in college football.
And had to play an extra game.
And I'm sorry, I know, well, it's a different committee, it's a different year. if you let SMU stay in the playoff last year after they lost to Clemson, and this year the committee's telling us what? All that matters is who you lose to.
Yep.
So you lose to the number 3 team in the conference championship game. That doesn't sound like something you should be punished for.
Right.
If we're going to hold their criteria against them. But in terms of, do I think that they'll still get in? I'll be honest with you. If you lose the SEC championship game, it just feels like one of those years where I don't think they're going to be doing you any favors. I'll just put it that way. And you don't want to leave that up to the committee.
Exactly.
Handle your business, and it'll all be all right. Let's see. Michael says, would it surprise y'all at all if Mississippi State wins the Egg Bowl? Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
Yes, it would surprise me.
Not
Oh,
one
dog. Hotty toddy over here.
Let's see. It says, I agree with Damien. This is with Lane. He says, this is like an ex-wife hanging around at your family function.
Exactly, man. Like, we done. Either we in or we out.
Let's see. I think there's a reason Lane's statement didn't mention the playoffs. He wants to win the Egg Bowl and then announce on the field that he's staying. Maybe.
Get that swan song.
Maybe so. Someone says, yeah, but Mercer would beat Eastern Illinois by 3 touchdowns. I'm
Nobody's arguing that.
actually not going to, maybe even more, to be completely honest with you. So we appreciate you tuning in. We're back tomorrow at 6 a.m. as Iron Bowl week continues. McElroy and Cuba